Hey everyone, how's it going? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Hi, welcome from Missouri. Hey everyone. Hey Avril, hi. So everyone, hi, my name is Tania and I am based here in the UK and the time over here is 8:30 p.m. in the evening. And welcome to everyone for joining in. Hey, Daniel. My lovely friend Daniel is here as well. Hello from New York. Wow, messages are flying by. It's hot here. Yeah. Cork, Ireland. Yes, Avril. Did you join us for the one of my classes as well? So my name is Tania, and it's, as I mentioned, I'm based here in the UK, and it's 8:30 p.m. So it's quite late in the evening. I don't know what time it is where you guys are. So in America, it's early afternoon, late afternoon, mid afternoon, and yeah. Thank you so much for joining in, Avril. Hello from Illinois, San Francisco. Wow, these comments are flying by. Well, guys, if you leave a comment in the live, you've got a chance to win some prizes. We've got the lovely Kathleen in the comment section who's going to be replying to any questions I might miss. I'm going to try and pay attention to the chat as well, but I might miss some comments. I will come back towards the end and you can answer any questions. So today, hello from Sweden and Germany. And Norfolk, oh, lovely. Norfolk is beautiful. Hello from Italy. Oh my goodness, such an international crowd. Wow. Wow. So many people joining in. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we are going to be revisiting one of my favorite stamp sets. It's an older one. So this is what made me fall in love with Alt New for the very first time. So this is the stamp set. It is called, let me see if I can pronounce it right, Dodecagram. And it's this lovely geometric design, which is absolutely beautiful, inspired by tiles and artwork. And yeah, this is one of my favorite stamp sets, and it's so versatile. And there's other products as well available if you check out the Alt New website. Kathleen's going to be leaving some links if you are interested in buying any of these products. And yeah, it's one of my favorites. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with my work. You can check it out on the Alt News Mixed Media blog. And I love everything and anything to do with geometric design. So yeah, so this made my heart go pitter-patter with delight. So what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can change the camera around. I haven't done this in a while. So let me see if I can get the right camera. Yes. So you should be able to see my desk right now. And thank you everyone who's sharing as well. So this is being streamed live on the Alt New Facebook page as well as the Alt New YouTube channel as well. Yes, the cover plate as well is absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, so thank you so much everyone for tuning in. I can see that the numbers are going up, which is making me a little bit nervous, but let's see how this goes. So my aim is to try and get as many cards done as I can. And I'm going to be using 3 ink cube sets. And I'm going to show you why I like having these ink cube sets as well. So what I love about these sets is that they're very easy to store, And you can get a whole set and you can try out many different inks without having to invest in a whole set. So yeah, oh, thank you so much, everyone. You guys are so lovely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I like to do when I get a ink or any kind of medium for the very first time. So what I do is I always do a swatch. Let me just put my Misty aside. We're not going to be using that for now. And let me just scroll down the comments. Just make sure that I can see everyone's comments. And yeah, what's lovely about buying a whole set is that all the decision has been made for you. So if you've got any of the flower, look at me, I've already got ink on my hands and I haven't even started. So what's lovely about these ink sets is that the decision has been made for you. So if you've got one of the old to new flower layering stamps, then you know which one you need to use first and then which subsequent colors you need to use last. Now you've got that decision taken out of your hands, so you don't have to, spend too much time deciding on which color you should use. But I would still recommend doing swatches. Now, if you are, let's just say, I wouldn't use the word lazy. Let's just say impatient. If you are impatient like me, then sometimes you see all these beautiful, lovely stamp swatches that everyone has, these booklets and things like that, and think, oh, I would love to have something like that. But you just think, oh, I just don't have the time. So what I do is I take the easy route, and there is no shame, people, lovely, lovely people, in taking the shortcut. Because sometimes we are busy and we don't have the time to do all of that stamping or cutting out. But if you do, it can be a very rewarding process. But I would still suggest doing some kind of swatch for any kind of medium you have, because it will tell you how the inks behave on the paper that you have, or what they look like dry, because what they look like wet and what they look like dry can be two completely different things sometimes, depending on the product, what kind of dyes have been used in them. So yeah, so this is my very, very easy way of creating swatches. So are you ready for my very complicated process? So yeah, so all you do is I've cut out a piece of cardstock, whatever cardstock you like using, and cut it to the size of whatever your container is. And then all you do is you can arrange them in the gradient that you prefer. So I'm just going to start with the darkest, and all you do is that. And it's just swiping them on to your cardstock. So what that's doing is it's depositing like a darker pigment towards the top, and as I swipe, it becomes a little bit lighter. And that will give you like a little bit of an idea of how the ink will dry on your paper, because cardstock, it depends from cardstock to cardstock, and paper will absorb ink in a different way depending on what kind you use. So it's really important that you swatch. And I think I probably sound like a broken record, because every time I do a live or a class or a blog post, I always say do a swatch, because it's I suppose it's like my inner crafting mad scientist just likes to see how things behave. And that literally took me 2 minutes to do. Seriously, how easy was that? So I have one in there for, why did I put that back in? Let me just take that one out, and I show you all the ones that I did for the others, which took as you saw, a really long time, right? So let me know in the comments whether you like to do swatches or not really, or have you thought that it's going to be a complicated process, so you didn't want to try. So these are all the 3 that I did for these 3 sets. So the sets that I am using today are Cherry Blossom, Sweet Dreams, and A Pocket of Sunshine. And Kathleen will leave links to them in the comments section. And yeah, so you used to do swatches but got out of the habit. Too late. Hey Daniel, come on, it's never too late to start swatches. Thank you everyone who's sharing. Used to do swatches but got out of the habit. Never do swatches. But guys, seriously, how long did that take? And it doesn't have to be a complicated process. And if you want, what you could do is you could have some tags die cut, and you could just swipe them, and you could put them on a nice book ring, and you can have them like sitting by your side, and just having ready to go for whenever you want to do some crafting. Or if you don't really fancy doing crafting, I always say that you could do something which I call crafting admin. So you could just sit and do things like cut out card blanks, or you could sit and do swatches as well, or cut out backgrounds. You could just create backgrounds, or you could just do a bit of organizing. I mean, that counts as crafting as well, even though you might not have finished a complete card, but at least you've done some crafting. And what I like to do is I like to set a timer, and maybe for like 15-20 minutes, and just do some crafting admin, and just do that, and that will be my crafting fix done for the day. So what I'm going to do for my very first card is I am going to if you have any issues with any of the products, do contact support. They're very, very helpful. Customer service will be able to help you out. Love doing, yes, you can use the flowers as well, and see how the layering flowers, and see how they layer. I mean, the possibilities of doing swatches are endless. You can be as meticulous as you want to be, or you can create them as quickly. My lazy way of making swatches. Or you could just punch holes in these and just have them on a book ring as well. So for my very first background, I'm going to be creating like a swiped background. And I just have a plastic folder sleeve here with a piece of paper underneath so that you can see right underneath. Because I don't want to mess up my mat, because I just can't keep my hands clean too for more than 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select some colors that I know will work well together. I'm going to use Rubelite, and I really loved how this maple yellow looked, because normally I pick up fresh lemon, but when I swatched it, I really loved how maple yellow looked. And for my third color, I'm going to use Teal Cave. So the beauty of having these smaller ink sets is that you have a little bit more control with how much ink you want to lay down. Now, if you're not really sure how to do this process, and you're kind of nervous about taking your ink pad directly onto your cardstock, then I would suggest just having a scrap piece of cardstock just to practice on, because practice makes perfect, and I for sure never really got it right the first time round. So what I'm going to do is I have like I mentioned, a piece of plastic sleeve underneath, and I'm going to do like 2 swipes and see how much space that takes up, and then move on to my next color. And what I'm doing is I'm going to start my ink pad, like I'm holding it at like a 45 kind of 30-degree angle, and I'm going to lay the ink pad directly onto my plastic surface first, and then drag it onto my cardstock. So kind of like how that looks. Do I want more color on there? Why not? Let's just try and see what that looks like. And when you're doing this, you've got a little bit of playtime in there. And do remember that dye inks dry very fast. So you might need to work on one color at a time. So I've got down that first color down. And before I use my next color, I'm going to clean my mat because I don't want any of that ink transferring onto my next color. So I'm going to use Rubelite next. So again, just slightly overlapping the color so that I get a light blended effect like that. Maybe I want to do one more swipe there just to fill that gap. Let's do the third color and see what it looks like. So again, making sure to clean. And honestly, I should have thought of this before. I would start with the lightest color first. Oh my goodness, I do love that yellow. Ah, maple yellow. I think this might be my favorite new yellow. And I think because the days are getting a bit darker here, I don't know about where you guys are, but the days over here are getting longer. So sometimes you just need to, make your own colors that you need. Do I want to intensify that? Yes, these are my favorite colors to use. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with using the same color combination over and over again. If you love that, and sometimes it's fun to try something different. And guys, how long did that take? Seriously, how long did that take? That took me like 5 minutes to do. And if you're like feeling like your mojo has done a runabout and gone away, and you're not really sure, what to do, I like to sometimes sit down and make backgrounds, and I have piles of these, literally, because I cut out my card backgrounds. So this is about 5 1/4 and 4 inches, and I have a pile of them sitting on my desk for when I just want to sit down. I put my timer on for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes, and I'll sit and make backgrounds. And I won't pressurize myself to finish a project because sometimes all you fancy doing is you just need to get your crafting fix, and you just don't have the time or the energy or the mental capacity to finish a whole card. So I've got this card background done, and what we're going to do is, how are we doing for time? 20 minutes gone already. Wow. And so what we're going to do next is let's just do some quick stamping. And I'm using 2 stamp sets today. So I'm using the Dodecagram stamp set. There, I got it right. And I'm also using the newer sentiment strips. So it's only released like, I think, a month ago or 2 months ago, something like that. And this has some really lovely sentiments on it. There's like a couple of these sentiment strip stamps. They're definitely worth having in your stash for when you need a sentiment to fit any occasion. So the Dodecagram stamp set has a couple of sentiments in it already. Like that says, thank you, celebrate, congratulations, we are proud of you, we are very happy for you. but I quite fancied using the sentiment strips because I really love that font. So we're going to be doing some stamping. You can use your MISTI for this, but because I like to work fast, I am going to be using some acrylic ink blocks that I have here. And I'm just going to put them on 2 acrylic blocks. So I've got the smaller one, the smaller geometric design, and the larger geometric design. And I'm going to be creating a background. But actually, before I do that, let's put the sentiment down first. Because I don't know about you guys, but my brain works backwards sometimes. And I like to put my sentiment on first so that I know where to put. So actually, I quite fancy using with all of my love. And once you kind of know that, you want to place your sentiment in a particular place, you can just do your stamping of the rest of your elements. And you could leave that area with the sentiment blank for when you need a quick card. Because sometimes you never know what kind of card you need for what occasion. So you can have the whole card ready and done. And then all it needs is a sentiment, and you just need to put it on your background. So I am all about saving time and, getting as much crafting done as efficiently as possible. Yes, I shouldn't call myself lazy. I should call myself efficient. Right? It'll be our secret, right? You guys won't tell anyone, will you? So with my first stamp, I just stamp it on lightly. And I don't need to restamp it, so which is fine. And I like to use a microfiber cloth to clean my stamp sets. You can use a baby wipe, but I much prefer using microfiber cloths, especially in my kitchen as well. And at the same time. So I'm just going to put that back straight away because you don't want to lose a tiny stamp. I may have lost tiny stamps before, so I have learned the hard way to clean up, as you go along. So I've got my stamping done. And if you wanted to, you could leave it as it is. I mean, it looks pretty like that, doesn't it? But I want to use this stamp set because I love it. Cleaning fluid. No, it's just water. It's just water in a spray bottle. I don't use any kind of cleaning fluid, personally. Should I use black or should I use a darker? No, I think I'm going to stick to black. And just going to make sure that this is covered really nicely. I'm using Obsidian Pigment ink, which is my favorite stamp set, my favorite stamping ink. And I'm just going to go directly in and just stamp it down. You can use a stamping platform or a MISTI or whatever kind of stamping aid that you have. But I wanted to create a card quickly. Now for my next one, this is why I have both of them on. because I wanted to see how the pattern would emerge. So I know I want to do like a one there. And as much as I love my Misty, I still love stamping by hand. This is something really satisfying about it. And what I'm doing is I'm angling my stamp around a little bit as well, so that I'm getting a little bit of variation. Should I put one there? So just angling in the light to make sure that it's covered in ink. And I'm trying not to touch the black ink because Obsidian is a oil-based pigment ink, which means it stays wet for longer. And if you don't want to smudgeroo it, then no touchy. And again, I may have smudged it one too many times, so I have learned the hard way. And as I may have mentioned before, I like to share my mistakes as well, so that you guys don't have to. Yeah, I think sometimes you get so used to using a Misty or using some kind of stamping tool that sometimes you forget that, you know, you can quickly, very organically create a background just using your acrylic blocks. And not everyone has a Misty tool or some kind of stamping platform, and that's okay. And if you wanted to, you could add some more like splatters to it, but I don't want to take away from any of that background because I'm just loving how that color looks. So I'm going to set this aside to dry for a bit, and then we'll assemble all the cards at the same time afterwards. Wow, half an hour already gone. Oh my goodness. So that's one card done. And I am going to give this stamp a really good clean because, again, this is plain water that I'm using and I'm working on it. This is a microfiber cloth. And I just sprayed water on the cloth and I'm giving it a really good clean to get all of that obsidian ink off. And even though it's oil-based, you can easily take it off from your stamps because Altenews stamps are very, very high quality, manufactured in the US. And sometimes you might get some stainage with some of the inks, but they are very durable, and if you look after them, they will last. Just going to give this one a clean as well. We're not going to be using this one as much, but because I want to do some heat embossing with the other one, that's why I gave it a really good clean. So I'm just going to stick this back in there, and we'll bring back the Misty. Sarah says, when I need precision, but I am repositioning and restamping, I like the magnetic perfect stamp tool. Yeah, that's a very, very good tool to have. But with magnets, it can be a bit fiddly, yes. Yeah. So, I mean, call me old-fashioned, but nothing, you know, beats the satisfaction of stamping with an acrylic block. But with sentiments, I don't take no chances with sentiments because, you know, you just think, oh, don't mess it up, and then the whole card is ruined. So again, I have a blank piece of cardstock, and what I'm going to do is we are going to be doing some stamping. So when you want to center something, there's a couple of things you can do. I like to cheat a little bit. There's like all sorts of tools that you can use with your MISTI. You can use a positioning tool to help you mark out where the central point is. But let me just show you an easy way of finding the central point. And what I'm going to do is working directly on the cardstock panel that I have. Again, this is 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and I'm just going to mark it and make diagonal lines to find the central point. So that is my central point there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that there. And this is going to be my kind of guide. So with the main geometric medallion, let's call it a medallion, you get several of these layering stamps as well. So you can choose to use all of them, or you can just use some or none, or just do an outline like I did. So I want to do some heat embossing, but I want to get the color down first. So I am taking one of the designs, and I am just putting it down so that it's right in the center. And I'm going to pick that up with my MISTI. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to flip it over and use the other side. Because guys, that side is just going to get stuck onto my card blank. And no one's going to know that I use the other side as a template. Or if you do something like this a lot, I store templates like these underneath my MISTI so that I can use them as a guide. So I have a couple of them to go. I can't find the one that I usually use for my my A2 size cards, but I normally have them for all kinds of card that I use. So not making Christmas cards. I know. I might do a Christmas card soon, but I just thought that, just make a nice change to do something non-Christmassy. So the ink that I am using is Pink Delicious. And I'm just going to stamp that down. And what I love about the dye inks is that you can build them up. So have you guys got any questions? Is it bad to be sick of Christmas already? Afro. Let's not be controversial. So I've got Pink Delicious, so I stamped that twice. And I'm going to put that away. And let's move on to the next layer. Which one do we fancy doing today? Let's do this one because I just love this pattern. And again, super easy to line up. I'm just going to move it a little bit closer because I don't want to bump the camera. Just to see if it lines up. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And even if it doesn't matter because we are going to be doing some heat embossing as well with the outline. So I am just going to place that there. Oops, close that lid. Naughty Tania. See, this is how I end up with ink all over my hands. What color should we use next? So let's have a look at our handy dandy swatch chart, shall we? Aqualicious. You can write down the names as well, but because I have them arranged in a gradient, so I can tell which ones are which. So let's try this, and maybe I might be a little bit fancy with doing some extra blending. Let's see what this turns out like. So the color I have here is Aqualicious. And if you wanted to, you could just leave it like that. You don't have to use the outline. I mean, just as is, it looks so pretty. You could easily create a layered background. It's slightly off, but I'm not too worried about that. And what I'm going to do is I want to add a little bit darker color around the edges. So I don't know, can you see my stamp underneath over there? So what I'm doing is, so this is again the beauty of using a smaller ink cube, is that you have a little bit more control over doing like little, you know, when you have time, just doing like little, adding a little bit extra shading. So I'm just adding it, the teal cave just around the edges, and just stamp that down. Oops, see, this is where it moved. I should have used a magnet. But it's okay. Let's do another layer, and then we can fix that. We can fix this. Not a problem. There we go. That lines up perfectly. So clean my stamp, put that back. Should be to the central part. Which central part should we use? Let's use that. Oh, that's lovely, Avril. Which card was it that you sold? So I'm just going to move this a little bit closer so I can make sure it lines up so that I don't bump you guys. Excuse me. With my head. My allergies are still acting up, even though it's late September now. So let's do, what color shall we use in the center? Let's use Honey Drizzle. Just make sure that's all nudged up against that corner so that we're stamping accurately. Let's just leave it at that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn my heat tool on and just going to quickly dry this, because our next step is going to be heat embossing. So I've dried that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using the outline now to do some heat embossing. So I'm just going to move this a little bit closer to me so that I can line it up accurately. Does anyone have any questions so far about any of the products that I'm using, or you have any questions about any of the techniques that I use today? Please do let me know. I am happy to answer and help out as much as I can. So just gonna make sure it lines up. Yeah, just make sure it lines up nicely. Just carefully put that back. And this time round, I am going to use the magnet just to put it there. So that's lined up as best as I could get it to. And what we're going to do is, because I've been touching this and I've been doing a lot of stamping on this, normally I don't use an embossing buddy, but this time I am, because I don't want to get any embossing powder stuck where I don't want it to go. And I am taking my embossing ink and just making sure that the outline is nicely inked. And with embossing ink, because it's clear, I just like to angle it in the light, and that kind of tells me if I've missed any spots. And just gently stamp that down. There is a die set, and there's a cover die as well, I believe. Kathleen might be able to look that up for you. So if you search for the name of this stamp set, so Dodecagram, there are a couple of things that you can buy which have similar designs. And I believe there is a stencil, which I'm not sure what it's called, but it has like a similar kind of tile kind of look to it, which is very, very pretty. So let's see if my plan worked. And we'll sprinkle it with antique gold embossing powder. It did work. Just making sure I'm getting embossing powder everywhere. Oh, that turned out so pretty, guys. And I haven't even embossed it yet. So I'm just going to put this back in the jar, because if you turn your heat tool on while your embossing powder is still on the paper, then we have a giant, very golden, beautiful mess. I'm just going to set my Misty tools aside for now. And what you can do is, if you're not sure about how your powder is going to be, because sometimes your embossing ink pad might be too dry or might need to be re-inked, or you haven't got enough ink on there, you can heat your embossing powder from underneath. And personally, I love the effect it gives as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my heat tool on, let it warm up completely, and then start heat setting. All right? So my heat tool is warmed up completely, and I'm going to angle it so that you guys can start seeing the shine. Hopefully you can start seeing it. And there you can see that beautiful gold embossing. And then what you can do is you could go in with a white gel pen as well and add some more details if you wanted to. So I'm just going to bring my Misty tool back and we're going to stamp the sentiment. Can't go wrong with this color combination, can you? It's kind of magenta and teal and like a buttery yellow. That's my go-to color combination. Do you guys have like a go-to color combination, or do you have a favorite color that you like to use? Or do you have a favorite Altenew ink that you love? What colors do you guys love? So what sentiment do we want on here? So my paper's gone a bit wonky, and all I'm doing is just telling it who's boss and just encouraging it to come back into space, come back into shape. See, this is what happens is that I often end up knocking the camera. Hopefully I didn't make you guys too busy. Pinks, purples, and teals, blues and greens, and rainbow colors. You can't go wrong with rainbows. Let's celebrate. Now I'm going to stick this down onto my card blank, and it will all straighten out. Let's just check with the grid on my Misty. Is that straight? Yes, it is. And it's centered as well. Not bad. And I'm just going to, again, lightly ink that with Obsidian. Is that too much ink? Maybe. Let's just do a light impression first and see how that comes out. Yes. Sometimes, if you think you have too much ink on your stamp, what I like to do is I like to press just a little bit lightly, so that if you press too hard, then you know the ink can go. Yes, that's a very technical term. It can go bloop and spread all over the place. So a light hand is better, because then you can go in again and fix it if there's any spots you've missed. So I'm going to put that there. And let's assemble these two cards first, and then let's see if we have time for a quick third background. So I've got my card backgrounds cut out already. And let me just give that a quick zap with my heat tool. Because again, Obsidian dries slow, and it can smudge if you don't let it dry. So I've got some dimensional foam tape here. Because who doesn't love some dimension, eh? You could add some gems as well. Oh, imagine what some of those sequins would look like right in the middle of those, just for a lovely bit of sparkle. Getting so many ideas. So I'm just cutting my foam tape so that I can add that onto my back. That's dry. I do love dimensional foam tape, guys. I just could put foam tape makes your card look better. Call me biased. It's so easy to take off as well. And is this upside? Oh, I'm going to stick it upside down. I was going to stick it upside down. Always check. I've done that many times. Stuck it on upside down. Is that centered? Yes, it is. That's one card done. Let's do this one as well. No, it's not upside down. Thank goodness. I know, and it's a huge roll too. So it will last you a long time as well. I mean, I do a lot of card making, guys, and I'm not even halfway through it. Oh, just gonna put one on that corner there because we don't want saggy corners, do we? We don't want saggy corners. Also, yes, I'm working on the All-to-New mat as well. It's quite large. Won't be able to fit it on camera. It's about 16 inches by 22 inches. It's quite large, and I really like how, you know, using like using black backgrounds on my cards, on my videos, sorry. And that's it. If you wanted to, I kept this one really clean and simple. The other one was a bit more layered. We've got 5 minutes, so I'll just create another quick background to show you guys, which again, you can just create backgrounds if you haven't got the time. I mean, honestly, I've got some hair like just sitting around, so this is just using some leftover paints and inks that were on my desk. Actually, let's just finish one of these off. Shall we finish one of these off, or shall we create an inky, messy background? What do you guys think? 5 minutes. I think let's go for a messy, inky background. So what colors shall we use? So I'm going to use the darkest of the inks. So I'm going to use Razzleberry, Honey Drizzle, and let's use Galactic Stream. And what's nice is when you're doing like a messy, inky background like this, I would suggest on using a surface, working on a surface that is non-stick, like a matte. All-to-New has some really amazing mattes. I might have a bit too much color on there, but that's okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spritz this with some clean water. And I'm deliberately using the darker ones because the dye inks will kind of become less colored. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That makes me so happy. I'm going to stop on this one. And the key to getting good layering is to let the colors dry in between. See, I had less ink on my surface there. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do anything more on that one, but I will dry this one. The key to getting a good layered effect is to dry in between layers. And that's something that's very important for mixed media as well. So I've dried it just a little bit. Otherwise, if you keep working wet on wet on wet, then you're just going to keep getting mud. And if you dry in between layers, you will get a much more layered effect. And I'm just going to blast that quickly again. Just try that a little bit more. Where do I need more color? Maybe just some more there. Yeah. So the secret to getting good sort of layering is to dry in between. So in the space of less than 5 minutes, you don't have to clean this up. You could just in another card blank and just pick all that delicious ink up so that you're not wasting any. That's what I would normally do if I was just crafting for myself. And that literally took me like 5 minutes to do 2 backgrounds. And you have these set to the side, ready to go. And all you need to do is just maybe put on a sentiment or a die cut. You could use one of Altenews word dies as well. And just use those. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do. Just sit there and create backgrounds. And when I need a quick card, then you can just do backgrounds, which are ready to go. You can do. All you need to do is just add sentiment or your focal point afterwards, or just add in like a outline as well, a die cut outline. But guys, here are the cards that we made along with the backgrounds. Let me switch the camera around and see if anyone has any questions. And just making sure that I'm switching to the right camera. Here we go. Lovely. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. So just a quick reminder, the stamp set that I was using was the Dodecagram. See, I said it enough times to finally learn how to say it right. Dodecagram. And we made some cards, some layered cards as well, using the small ink cubes, some inky backgrounds, something to suit everyone, something clean and simple or messy. But yeah, does anyone have any questions? Please do let me know. I'll just stay on for a few more seconds. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And I just wanted to let you know, it's such a lovely, supportive, wonderful community we have here. And it's like a family here at Altenew. And thank you so much. And I hope that you guys will tune in again. I've got a couple of classes coming up, as well as lives, hopefully soon. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And take care and have a great day or evening or morning, depending on wherever you are. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Bye.